Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, or if you're new here, my name's Megan, and today I'm going to be sharing with you how to get famous on Instagram. Now, I'm not saying that I'm famous on Instagram. I've got around 10,000 followers, just under actually, and I started off on Instagram with 100 followers at the start of January last year, and then I managed to get it to that number by this year, so that's nearly a year later. I'm thinking of starting an Instagram series here on my channel. I'm going to film videos such as how I edit my Instagram pictures. If you want to see that, make sure you subscribe so you can see when those videos come out. So I just wanted to share with you some of my tips because I think I've been able to grow my what am I on about? My Instagram quite successfully. So I'm just going to get into the tips. So something you need to realise before you start off and get too invested in it is that Instagram is so incredibly fake. Half the people that show pictures only show their best version of themselves. If you think about it, why are you going to show a picture of you on a really bad day, or you from an unflattering angle, or you when you're really upset? It's just not what you do. So yeah, I just want you to realise that this is the case and not to compare yourself, because as you start to grow on Instagram, you spend a lot more time on it and a lot more time looking at other people's feeds. So it's just important to remember that. So my next tip that I have is to actually know why you want to be famous on Instagram. Is it because you have a good fashion sense? Is it because you're amazing at makeup? Is it because you're an expert at something and want to show other people how to do it? The point is that people will only follow other people if it gives value to them. So you're only going to follow somebody if you have an interest in something. People won't just follow you if you have a random account with a random assortment of pictures, like pictures of a night out, Snapchats with friends. That's not something that attracts people and gives them value, so they won't want to follow you. Make sure you have a very set theme on your Instagram. That's what people will be following you for. If you're not sure on what you want to be posting, you could think about what you're passionate in, or maybe one of your talents. Are you good at sport? You could post sport videos, sport pictures. Are you really good at makeup? You could show different makeup looks on different people, or fashion. You know, it's really endless. There's so many things that you could focus on as a theme and become famous for. You've also got to decide if this is something that you really want to do, because getting followers doesn't happen overnight. It requires hours and hours of commitment, and for me, I just turned it into a hobby. So for my Instagram theme, I've kind of got a glam luxury aesthetic. That's the sort of thing that I really am attracted to on Instagram, or I'll follow accounts for. So that's where I kind of got that idea from. But I just want to say that that is not my real life in the slightest. I do not live my life on how I look in my Instagram pictures. Like, most of the time I'm in leggings or joggers and like a t-shirt like this. I'm really not dressed up or have my makeup done all the time. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out. So unless you're a really creative person or a photographer, something like that, you probably find it really hard to come up with pictures and know what will look good, and then if you take something it ends up not looking good. The best way that I've found is to find inspiration. And I don't mean go and copy other accounts' pictures. No, don't do that, because people will realise that and you won't gain followers because they could just be following that original account. So if I see a nice picture on an account with a lot of followers, I will try and emulate that myself, but I'll put my own personal spin on it somehow, because let's be honest, it's really difficult to get it exact anyway. So chances are, if the picture worked for them, it's going to work for you, and that will just speed up the process of getting pictures taken, especially at first when you're trying to build up that first initial feed. So for an example, I absolutely love Amber Scholl's Instagram feed. That's what inspired me to start putting effort and work into my Instagram. So I found a picture of her. She's wearing a red dress. I'll put it on screen if I can find it. And I recreated that photo using clothes that I have that's similar, and that actually got a lot of likes and got me followers. So yeah, if it worked for her, it's worked for me. If you want to be in most of your Instagram pictures, I really recommend that you have somebody take the pictures for you. It's really hard to take your own photos, and people won't really want to follow you for just selfie after selfie after selfie. Maybe unless you're doing makeup or something, but generally people will want to see a bit more than that. So I get my mum to take most of my photos. Now I live with my boyfriend. I rope him into taking a lot of them, as much as he doesn't like it, but yeah, he doesn't mind in the end. He's really good for doing it. My next tip is to have a nice bio and a nice clear profile picture. The first thing most people will see is your profile picture, so you want that to be a really good clear picture of you or whatever you're trying to get famous for. So whether it's food, you should have a really nice picture of a food dish, or if it's you, just have a really nice clear selfie. And then also make sure your bio is really clear and hasn't got loads of random stuff. Just make it look nice. I'll put an example on the screen of what I mean because it's a bit difficult to understand, but yeah, just make sure it's got a really clean finish to it, so when people click on your profile it looks professional and it looks like you know what you're doing. My next tip is to have a good amount of pictures on your feed. Now I don't mean hundreds, I mean just maybe like 9 or 10 to get you started, because people won't want to follow an account that only has maybe 2 pictures on. They won't have a good idea of what they're actually going to be following you for. My next tip is to add your location to your photos or your stories. So I found that doing this gets you quite a few followers and likes. It just gets your profile out there, and if you manage to get a lot of likes, it will get into the top, how do I describe it, the top posts of that area. I'll put it on screen again of what I mean because it's so hard to explain, but yeah, you just want to be tagging your location in all of your pictures, and eventually that will get you just some. The way you can get followers is doing like self promos on your Snapchat or your Twitter, because you'll be surprised of how many people don't follow you from there. I know people get a bit bored of seeing this, so don't do it all the time, but I mean 1 or 2 won't hurt. So you can just put a screenshot of your Instagram or a nice picture and say, check out my Instagram, something like that. I don't really know, but you can just do a cheeky self promo. Tip is to plan out your feed. So it doesn't look good if you have certain pictures next to each other, and it doesn't give you an overall aesthetic feed. So I use this app, I think it's called Planoly. I'm thinking of doing a separate video on this because this is quite an important step in gaining followers, because people will want to follow you if you have a nice looking feed. If you want to see that video, also make sure you subscribe so you'll see when I upload it. Next tip is to follow the likers of pictures of accounts that are similar to your target audience, if that makes sense at all. I'm going to give you an example so it's easier to understand, but what I mean by that, so for example, for mine it might maybe Pretty Little Thing, because they post dresses and clothes, and that's kind of what I do as well. I will go on to Pretty Little Thing and I will find their most recent photo, and then I will look on the likers of that picture and then follow them sometimes. This can get your name out there, and you want to do it on the most recent photo, because sometimes if you just follow the followers of Pretty Little Thing, they could be old or inactive, but if you know they've recently liked a photo, you know they're still going to be on Instagram. And it doesn't come overnight, you have to keep doing this, but this is actually quite a good way to get followers. That's all that I have for today's video. I just want to explain quickly that Instagram really isn't everything, and it's really not that important. There's so many more important things to life than Instagram, so don't get too caught up in it because it is honestly so fake. But here's my video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!